I think when the time comes that Michail Antonio either retires or just stops playing for West Ham, if he departs via transfer, whatever it is, I think we'll look back and think, oh, what a player he's been for us, because he really has been an exceptional signing for West Ham. I mean, it's been 8 years. 8 years ago, we got him from Nottingham Forest. It's not just the amount of goals he scored. I think it's 63. I think he's scored in total now for the club. He's our record goal scorer in the Premier League. But it's the moments, you know what I mean? Those memorable moments, and so many of them that he's created. It's not just the odd one. I mean, but the one that always springs to mind is that first goal at Tottenham's new stadium when we beat them there. I mean, that was always a special one. But, you know, but there has been a few. I mean, header against Man United. There have been some really special goals with Antonio. I was talking about, you know, the last game at the Boleyn. But, yeah, I mean, it's just... I just want to make that very clear. Like, I look at Antonio and think I really do admire everything he's brought to this football club. I love his personality as well. Do you know what I mean? He's got a real... you know, when you see him in interviews after games, he's got a real cheek about him. I love it, that little cheekiness. And yeah, great lad. And one that I'm just so pleased for how well he's done in his career. You know, how I think Tooting and Mitcham, wasn't it, that he came from? Worked his way up Sheffield Wednesday, he went to, then he went to Forest and West Ham. He's just done so well. Yeah, I really am pleased with him. But I'll tell you what, though, you get the feeling this season that his time's up in terms of being our number one striker. It's no surprise, really, first of all, because of his age, okay? Like, he's 33 now. Although, I will go into a minute, I do think that he's not helping himself. I really don't. I think there's a couple of things he's not doing right, and I think that's causing him a bit of a problem. I mean, first of all, let's look at the situation with the club this season. When you look at that, like, when you think of it last season, okay, when we had Gianluca Scamacca, there was a feeling that he was our number one striker. That's what the club were intending to do. Make no mistake, that was what the intention was, that he was going to lead the line. That's why they spent so much money on him. Obviously, it didn't work out, unfortunately. You know, we can talk about that. We've talked about it enough, actually, the Scamacca situation. But Antonio came back into the side when Scamacca got injured and made the role his again. You know, we had a tough season. We know we did a really, really poor campaign, but he made that position his. He was our striker, and even when Scamacca was again available, he couldn't really shake Antonio away from the side, because he was just the way we were set up, the way that we were playing. He wasn't going to. You get the feeling that that's gone now. Even from David Moyes, I think David Moyes has lost that faith in Antonio. I don't think he sees him now as the main man to help him and to lead the line. I just don't. I think that's now past. Antonio's proven that he's not prolific enough. He's just not consistent enough. We've seen that for a long time with him. He's very hit and miss. He has great spells. Even the start of the season looked pretty good, didn't he? And then he just towers off. But as I say, I do think with Antonio, though, he is his own worst enemy. First of all, is the Jamaica situation. I talked about it before, but it's something that I think he could just do without. He doesn't need to be doing this Jamaica thing. I kind of understand it, that he wants to play international football. I understand that he wants caps. I understand that he wants to experience things before he retires. I do understand that element of it. But at the end of the day, this is just my sort of selfish point of view as a West Ham fan. West Ham should be his priority. That should be his main priority. He's playing Premier League football. We're the ones paying his wages. He's the one. I do look at him and think, why are you busting your arse to play for Jamaica? All this travelling, playing more games at your age, and we know what a delicate guy he is in terms of injury. Okay, to be fair to him, his injury record with the last couple of seasons has been great. It's been very, very impressive, actually. It hasn't been bad at all. But he always comes back and looks exhausted from these international trips that he goes and does for Jamaica. And I just think you've only got to look at certain players. I remember James Milner doing it and talking about it and saying he just wanted to focus on his club career. Gave up international football. A lot of players do. You know, they get to that point and go, look, I need to just stay fit. I realise I'm coming towards the end of my career. I need to be careful, look after myself, stay fresh as I can so I can perform. I just get the feeling Antonio hasn't got that mindset at all. He just seems to be, his view is that I want to be playing for my country because I'll get the opportunity to play international football. As I say, I'd get that if he was younger, but now I just don't. And I just think it's hampering him. And it is hampering him. It's hampering West Ham. And it is frustrating to see him do it. I mean, he's just gone off now. He's gone off and he's flying out, I believe, to Canada. I think he got 2 games, I believe, out in Canada now for Jamaica. We just don't need all this, which means then when we come back to play Burnley, he comes back absolutely shattered. And it's just not ideal. It really isn't. And I just don't think it helps him at all. It doesn't help his case when it comes to him wanting to be recognised as West Ham's #1 striker. I feel like I want to shake him and just say, well, this is the problem. You're not helping yourself. And of course, the other thing is the podcast stuff he does. Again, you know, if that's what he wants to do, he can do it. But from what we understand it, and this is coming from ex-WH employee, the club don't agree with it. They haven't given him permission. They don't like it. It's not ideal. It really doesn't. It doesn't help him out at all because he's criticising people. He's criticising his own teammates sometimes. He's criticised the manager. It just doesn't help, you know. And bearing in mind, I know people will say, well, Callum Wilson does it. Well, as far as we understand it, Callum Wilson's, Newcastle have the same opinion. They don't like it. They don't like the fact they're going to do this podcast. But at the end of the day, I suppose that's what if that's what they're going to do, they're going to go and do it anyway, regardless, aren't they? So, and I feel like that is Antonio's attitude. And look, as I've said, I like Antonio's personality. I think he's been great. I love the way he's interviews and stuff. I think he can be really comical, and I think I like the way he's honest about stuff at times. I do like it. But I just feel like at this point of his career, that sort of like real delicate age now, where he's got to really look after himself. And I just feel like he's a bit distracted. And when it comes to the crunch, when in terms of West Ham now wanting to push on and make changes and bring another striker in, he can't really complain. One, he's not delivering on the pitch. He's been poor in recent weeks, really poor. I don't think he's scored a goal since September now. You know, we're coming towards we're mid-November, which isn't helpful. And I just think that things like, as I say, the Jamaica and the podcast, it just doesn't help him out at all. And now I get that feeling that West Ham are moving on. David Moyes is even moving on from it. I think the club want to get a new striker in, regardless of Antonio as well. I think the days have actually passed. Even if we were to come back, let's just say we come back for the international break and he starts banging goals in, I don't think the club will go, do you know what, we'll stick with Antonio to the end of the season. I don't believe they will. I think they're going to be going all out to get a striker in January, which is exciting for the club. I do like that. I do think we need to desperately. It's a key component that we're missing, isn't it? A proper striker. I know that Jared Bowen's coming in and working well alongside Kudus, etc. But I still think that we are really missing that proper out-and-out striker. And Antonio, unfortunately, is just not delivering. And I don't know. I don't want to be like this video sort of a real complaint about him because I do want to reiterate that I do highly regard Michail Antonio. I think he's been such a brilliant servant for the club. But at this age now, really, West Ham should be his #1 priority.